Section 7 of A Treatise of the Fear of God by John Bunyan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Considerations to prevent such temptations. Yet lest the devil, for some are not ignorant of his devices, should get an advantage against some of the sons, to draw them away from the filial fear of their father, let me here, to prevent such temptations, present such with these following considerations. First, though God cannot, will not, dissolve the relation which the spirit of adoption hath made betwixt the father and the son for any sins that such do commit, yet he can, and often doth, take away from them the comfort of their adoption, not suffering children, while sinning, to have the sweet and comfortable sense thereof on their hearts. He can tell how to let snares be round about them, and sudden fear trouble them. He can tell how to send darkness that they may not see, and to let abundance of waters cover them. Job 22 verses 10 and 11. Second, God can tell how to hide his face from them, and so to afflict them with that dispensation, that it shall not be in the power of all the world to comfort them. When he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Job 23 verses 8 and 9, chapter 34 verse 29. Third, God can tell how to make thee again to possess the sins that he long since hath pardoned, and that in such wise that things shall be bitter to thy soul. Thou writest bitter things against me, says Job, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth. By this also he once made David groan and pray against it, as an insupportable affliction. Job 13 verse 26, Psalm 25 verse 7. Fourth, God can lay thee in the dungeon in chains, and roll a stone upon thee. He can make thy feet fast in the stocks, and make thee a gazing stock to men and angels. Lamentations 3 verses 5, 53, 55. Job 13 verse 27, Nahum 3 verse 6. Fifth, God can tell how to cause to cease the sweet operations and blessed influences of his grace in thy soul, and to make those gospel showers that formerly thou hast enjoyed to become now to thee nothing but powder and dust. Psalm 51, Deuteronomy 28 verse 24. Sixth, God can tell how to fight against thee with the sword of his mouth, and to make thee a butt for his arrows, and this is a dispensation most dreadful. Revelation 2 verse 16, Job 6 verse 4, Psalm 38 verses 2 to 5. Seventh, God can tell how so to bow thee down with guilt and distress, that thou shalt in no wise be able to lift up thy head. Psalm 40 verse 12. Eighth, God can tell how to break thy bones, and to make thee by reason of that to live in continual anguish of spirit. Yea, he can send a fire into thy bones that shall burn, and none shall quench it. Psalm 51 verse 8, Lamentations 3 verse 4, chapter 1 verse 13, Psalm 102 verse 3, Job 30 verse 30. Ninth, God can tell how to lay thee aside, and make no use of thee as to any work for him in thy generation. He can throw thee aside as a broken vessel. Psalm 31 verse 12, Ezekiel 44 verses 10 to 13. 10th, God can tell how to kill thee, and to take thee away from the earth for thy sins. 1 Corinthians 11 verses 29 to 32. 11th, God can tell how to plague thee in thy death with great plagues, and of long continuance. Psalm 78 verse 45, Deuteronomy 28. 12th, what can I say? God can tell how to let Satan loose upon thee when thou liest a-dying. He can license him then to assault thee with great temptations. He can tell how to make thee possess the guilt of all thy unkindness towards him, and that when thou, as I said, art going out of the world, he can cause that thy life shall be in continual doubt before thee, and not suffer thee to take any comfort day or night. Yea, he can drive thee even to a madness with his chastisements for thy folly, and yet all shall be done by him to thee as a father chastiseth his son. Deuteronomy 28 verses 65 to 67. 13th, further, God can tell how to tumble thee from off thy deathbed in a cloud. He can let thee die in the dark. When thou art dying, thou shalt not know whither thou art going, to wit, whether to heaven or to hell. Yea, he can tell how to let thee seem to come short of life, both in thine own eyes, and also in the eyes of them that behold thee. Let us therefore fear, says the Apostle, though not with slavish, yet with filial fear, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. Hebrews 4 verse 1. Now all this and much more can God do to his as a father by his rod and fatherly rebukes. Who know but those that are under them what terrors, fears, distresses, and amazements God can bring his people into? He can put them into a furnace, a fire, and no tongue can tell what. So unsearchable and fearful are his fatherly chastisements, and yet never give them the spirit of bondage again to fear. Therefore, if thou art a son, take heed of sin, lest all these things overtake thee and come upon thee. Objection. But I have sinned, and am under this high and mighty hand of God. Answer. Then thou knowest what I say is true, but yet take heed of hearkening unto such temptations as would make thee believe thou art out of Christ, under the law, and in a state of damnation. And take heed also that thou dost not conclude that the author of these fears is the Spirit of God, come to thee again as a spirit of bondage, to put thee into such fears, lest unawares to thyself thou dost defy the devil, dishonour thy father, overthrow good doctrine, and bring thyself into a double temptation. Objection. But if God deals thus with a man, how can he otherwise think but that he is a reprobate, a graceless, Christless, and faithless one? Answer. Nay, but why dost thou tempt the Lord thy God? Why dost thou sin, and provoke the eyes of his glory? Why doth a living man complain, a man for the punishment of his sins? Lamentations 3, verse 39. He doth not willingly afflict nor grieve the children of men, but if thou sinnest, though God should save thy soul, as he will if thou art an adopted son of God, yet he will make thee known that sin is sin, and his rod, that will chastise thee with, if need be, shall be made of scorpions. Read the whole book of the Lamentations, read Job's and David's complaints, yea, read what happened to his son, his well-beloved, and that when he did but stand in the room of sinners, being in himself altogether innocent, and then consider, O thou sinning child of God, if there is any injustice in God, yea, if it be not necessary that thou shouldst be chastised for thy sin. But then, I say, when the hand of God is upon thee, how grievous soever it be, take heed and beware, that thou give not way to thy first fears, lest, as I said before, thou addest to thine afflictions. And to help thee here, let me give you a few instances of the carriages of some of the saints under some of the most heavy afflictions that they have met with for sin. Carriages of some of the saints under heavy afflictions for sin. End of section 7.